Hello everyone, this is Luciana with Uchis Design and our new animation clear stamps and die cuts. Today we're going to be showing you a project using our new animation die cut set DC101 animation card. Included in your animation die cut set, you have your animation die cut, your animation stamp, and your animation grid, as well as instructions to complete your whole project. In the instructions, you can see part number 1, 2, and 3, so it's easier for you to follow all the directions. Here we're starting with part number 1, and then with the main die cut, you want to select the part of your pattern paper that you want it to be in the front of your card. After you die cut, you follow the scoring line and you fold, and then with the help of a bone folder, you can just go over the scoring line. But it's already scored for you with the die cut. After that, I take my animation grid and I measure and then I cut it to size. This is a very important step because you gotta make sure that when you glue the grid, it's straight because it has to align with the lines of the animation stamp. So be very careful here. Put the glue on the arms and then make sure that when you glue it, the animation grid is straight. That's gonna make your animation run very smoothly when you open and close your card. Here you can see how part number 1 looks once it's ready. Now for part number 2, we're gonna use an 8.5 by 11 pattern paper, and we're gonna cut it in half and make an A2 card. So when it's closed, it's 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I'm using a bone folder to help crease the score line, and then I'm gonna flip it over because we're actually gonna be gluing one of the sides, so the inside of the pattern paper is gonna be showing when we open and close the card. So now we're ready to glue part number 2 into part number 1. And I'm doing this because it's easier to die cut the window through the 3 layers together. So when you open and close your card, the window is in the same position in all the layers. So this part is also important. So make sure when you're gluing your card is straight and aligned with part number 1. So here you can see once we glue it together, we open and close, and you can see how all the parts work together. Now I'm getting my die cut frame, and I want to make sure that I'm going to center it and align it with my animation grid. So I'm grabbing my pencil here just to make sure and to make marks. And then you want to put your die cut to the very edge of the grid and center between the arms. So once you run it through your die cut machine, make sure that when you place it between your plates, the die cut stays there when you mark it. Well, now I'm checking when I close and open the card if the animation grid is going to show through the window. So you can see the front looks great, and then once you open, it slides, and then you see the animation grid moving. So the system is starting to work. Now for part number 3, we got to do the back of the card. So we're going to use the main die cut again, just to cut and have the same size, and you have the score line that you need. So just choose a pattern paper or solid paper, whatever fits best with your project, and run it again through your die cut machine. So once you have the last piece, what you want to do is just to cut those arms. It's easier for you to use the die cut because you have the same dimensions for the front of the card, and you know that it's going to match perfectly, and also you already had the scoring line where you need it. We're going to go ahead and then fold it on that score line. When you glue it, make sure that you glue it straight. It's very important to have all the parts aligned, so when you open and close, it would run smoothly. So here I'm going to put some glue, And again, I'm going to make sure that when I glue it, it's aligned. And then I'm gluing it to the edge of the A2 card. I made the instructions with part 1, 2, and 3 because that way it works best for me to have the different parts made first. You know, you have part 1, you have part 2 and 3, and then you follow the instructions on how to assemble. And then at the end, it's a very easy way to do your animation card and make a fun project to see your stamp come to life. Here I'm testing how the animation grid moves and slides as I open and close the card. Now we're ready to do the frames. You can choose another pattern paper that coordinates with your project. So we're gonna grab both frames and we're gonna go ahead and cut them together. I'm gonna put the 3 layers of paper together so the 3 frames are the same when I place my die cuts on the die cut machine. And I have to run it once through my die cut machine. So here I'm aligning the 2 die cuts to make the frame, making sure that they're straight. So once I have all 3 frames, I'm gonna go ahead and just glue them on my project, making sure that they match with the die cutted window. So I'm gonna go one by one and then start gluing them into my card. For this project, I chose the same pattern paper for the inside frame as the outside frame, so when you open and close your card, they coordinate. I love how everything looks so far. So now after we glue our last frame, we're gonna go ahead and take our animation stamp that's included with our animation die cut set. So we're gonna stamp our butterfly into a white piece of paper. I'm using Nina cardstock and Memento Tuxedo, the dye ink. Here I'm taking my animation stamp and placing it in front, using the lines as my guide to make sure that I'm placing my stamp straight with the lines. That way I'm gonna pick it up with my block straight, and I'm gonna make sure that when I stamp, they align with the animation grid. That's a very important tip for the animation stamps. So once you take your stamp out of the acetate sheet, if you don't remember the orientation, just put it in the front like we did with the butterfly and follow the lines and then pick it up with your block. That way you're going to make sure that when you're stamping straight and it's going to coordinate with your grid. Here I was going to be ready to stamp on my cardstock, but then I remembered that that butterfly is just out of the package, so it's brand new. So I went ahead and I just got a scrap of paper and then I stamp it like 3 times, I think, just to make sure that when I stamp on my project, it was going to be a solid stamp. If you have a stamp positioner, again, remember to put your stamp straight and then to make sure that when you stamp, the lines will align with the animation grid. Now that we have our animation card ready, we can start decorating with our butterfly die cut and also with our coordinated embossing punch. I'm using a pink foil paper and I just love the embossing detail that you get with the embossing punch and also with the die cut. We have many different designs for the embossing punches and we love the texture and detail that you get every time you punch. But this butterfly coordinates perfectly with the die cut butterfly that's included in the die cut set. Here I'm using another of our embossing punches to punch out of the foil paper a flower, and what I like to do is create different layers with different papers. So I punch a couple of those flowers and then I go back and punch another butterfly with like a glitter paper. Here you can see how the butterfly from the die cut and the butterfly from the embossing punch, they match really nicely. Then I use the die cuts for the banners so I can stamp my sentiment for the front of the card. Here I have 2 of my favorite stamp sets, and I choose to go with the sentiment "with love" from the stamp set "with love." I'm stamping on the mousepad again, so when I stamp my sentiment, I get a very crisp and solid image. And I'm gonna glue it on my larger banner with a darker pattern paper. Once I have my banner ready with the stamped sentiment, I'm going to start layering the flowers that I already punched in the different pattern papers to add more dimension to the project by creating a 3D effect. I love how the foil paper adds that really shiny texture, and I just really love how it goes well with the project. Once I have the flower ready, I like to bring the petals upwards to create more dimension. And then I add a little bit of embellishment. I love the detail of the embossing punch and the pink foil paper. I love this die cut set because it comes with everything that you need to create your animation card. You get your die cuts, you get your animation stamp, and also the animation grid. So you have everything, plus the banner to stamp your sentiment and the butterfly that coordinates with the embossing punch. So you can have a lot of fun with this die cut set, and you can create many different animation cards using all the different animation stamp sets that we have available. Here you can see how I layered 2 of the die cutted butterflies to create more dimension and like a 3D effect. And then I finished my card using the rest of the die cutted butterflies. So I hope you enjoy and like this fun animation project. It is so much fun to see your stamps come to life and see them move in your projects. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel, Animation Stamps by Uchi's Design. We're going to be posting new videos for each of the animation die cuts and animation stamp sets. Thank you so much for watching.